Yeah, so if you were speaking, you're supposed to be at the microphone. I think that's the
audio of us, but I'm.
Okay. Are you ready? Oh, yep, you're ready. That's it.
Test to see if they can hear me.
Okay. Hey, if you're on the Google Meet, would you mind giving us a thumbs up if you can hear me all right? Thanks, Tim. Okay, appreciate it. Well, Tim says it's good, so does Shirley. All right, we're going to get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Let's give him a round of applause. Appreciate the hosting and your fantastic tech support. And I'd like to also welcome our friends from School Specialty and also, there you go. So let's give them all a welcome applause. There is a sign-in sheet that is floating around, and is there anybody who hasn't had a chance to check their information and initial? Okay, good, that's great. I think it would be a good idea for us to spend just a little bit of time celebrating some of our folks and maybe doing some introductions for their benefit. Obviously, we have two. Dawn, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, from Bernie. It's Adamek. Does anybody know? She's not here today, but she said she will join us next time. So she's the new Director of Fine Arts in Bernie. So that's something to celebrate. And then, of course, Mark here in Bastrop ISD. So welcome. Yeah. I mean, you've already been a part of TFAA, Centex TFAA, but it's really great to have you in this role, and we're very happy to have you as a part of what we're doing in this new role. Do you feel like you know everybody pretty much in the room?
I think so, for the most part, you know.
Does anybody feel like we need introductions at today's meeting?
I want to introduce Amy, our new.
Oh, yes.
Amy Bennett is our new instrumental fine arts assistant.
Well, that is a celebration as well, yes.
And she has hit the ground running.
Yeah. Yeah, we were visiting out in the lobby earlier, and they were like, whew, when does it slow down? And I was like, never, never. So this group is made up of a lot of amazing, dynamic fine arts administrators at a variety of stages and seasons in their careers and in their lives. And so one of the things that I hope as a part of our journey together as Centex TFAA is that we are leaning on each other and getting to know one another better so that we feel even more comfortable than we have felt in the past, reaching out when we've got a conundrum or a question or, just need help with something. We are a large geographical area, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the meeting today. But to that end, you know, there are going to be times when we're going to host someplace that makes it difficult for our members to join us. And so we're going to work really hard to refine and improve our online meetings so that we can ensure that people feel comfortable joining us virtually if that's what they need to do. Of course, we all know that nothing really replaces good old-fashioned person-to-person, face-to-face handshaking and collaborating. And so, you know, it's always good to see people at meetings, but we understand the need for virtual meeting access as well. So, you know, that's an ongoing, I would almost said struggle, but I think it's just kind of something that in every district is handled just a little bit differently. The other things that I think I'm going to take a little bit of time after the school specialty presentations or all of our partners' presentations this morning, and we'll kind of lean into some affirmations, but I want to, for respect for your time and the fact that you've made the journey out here to be with us today and provide us with such wonderful treats, I'd like to go ahead and open the floor. Nicole, will you be leading this? Well, then let's get you guys up here. Nicole Roberts from School Specialty.
So I'm Nicole Roberts. I'm the local school specialty brass alongside Okay. So my name is Nicole Roberts. I am the local school specialty rep alongside Victoria Beasley. Tori lives in New Braunfels. I live literally down the street. So yeah, in fact, Barry knows where I live, which is a little funny over the years. But no, I work very closely with Bastrop, Georgetown. I worked with Carol. I've worked with many of you guys. So thank you for letting us come. I love this meeting. You guys are a dynamic group. You're not like any other state, I'm going to say it. So that's impressive. Yes. But I have two very special guests that I would like to talk for a few minutes, and then I'll wrap up some updates on the school specialty side. But Sarah and Clarissa?
Hi everyone, how are you? I'm Sarah Hickey with WB Manufacturing. We're a manufacturer of school furniture. We do everything from your general classrooms down to career tech to STEAM and music lockers. I'm going to assume the majority of you have not heard of our music lockers, so I do have a slideshow going. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to put it up here or not. If not, we'll just talk about it real quick. But I am the rep for Texas and several other states, but I spend about 99% of my time in Texas because, well, everybody knows this is the busiest state out there. So I was going to let Clarissa do her quick introduction as well, and then if they get that slideshow running, we'll go through there real quick so you can get a better understanding of the environments that we are creating furniture for.
Good morning again. I'm Clarissa Darbone. I'm with Diversified. We do a lot of science lab tables. That's kind of what we're known for. But all the furniture that we manufacture is made for active learning spaces. So whether it be a health lab or a music room or an arts room, we make furniture for all active spaces. So I'm really excited for you guys to see what we have to offer. If we can't get the slideshow going, you can see a couple of our examples on pages 16, 17, 18, I believe, of art tables in particular. So look forward to working with you all hopefully very soon, and information's on the table, and hopefully we can get some pictures going. Thank you for your time today. Yes? Oh, excuse me. Loud voice.
Oh boy,
I know,
okay.
it's a fancy one.
What's that?
So while you're doing that, if you don't mind, I want to tell a story
Yeah.
about Sarah. Carol reached out to me and was
hope
trying
this is
to
good.
buy art tables for her schools and desperately needed it. And I said, if you want something built to last, WB makes it. And so we installed those, what, 2 months ago?
Yeah, that's the kind of our motto. We want to build like a tank. We're never going to be your low-cost manufacturer. We're never going to be your highest-cost manufacturer either. But we don't want school specialty. We don't want you. We don't want an architect, if they're involved, calling us, 2 years, 5 years down the line saying, why did you sell us this stuff? It's falling apart. We want to wait until, either your 20 or 50-year refresh when you've got the money again, or you've got some grand donor that just gave you a whole bunch of money and you feel like switching your furniture out. But I'm not sure how to work this, to be honest with you. All right, can you see if you can? I'm just trying to click on the, it will not work for
And
me.
then maybe click this.
What did you press that allowed
Share
it to?
this tab instead. And it should.
What were you clicking? Because whatever I'm clicking on, it's not like you. Oh,
It's not actually
this.
this.
Oh, maybe I'm clicking on.
Is it clicking for you?
How did you get it to click on this other slide? I can't even get it to do that. What are you
This
pressing?
very top.
Can you please share the tab?
Okay.
That
I'm
way they
pressing
can-
every button but
There
the
we
one
go.
that
All
matters.
right, there we go.
Okay, so I think we're just going to do it this way. Yeah, if you can control that, I will go ahead and talk.
Sounds good.
So we're going to fly, I know we're short on time, and I want to be respectful of what your programming is today, so we're going to try to move through this real quick, but looking at this first, thank you, this first tab here, I'm going to spend 30 seconds on just construction. So a lot of our tops on our tables are lined with, you guys know what armor edge or rhino liner is? It's the same thing that you would spray on a truck bed, right? So that's what we put on our tops. At edges, so we've taken examples in the past of 3mm edges, which is typically standard on classroom furniture, and then our armor edge. When you put the 3mm in a bucket of water, it starts to come off after 2 or 3 days. That armor edge, we actually pulled out of that bucket of water in 4 weeks because nothing had happened. So if you're looking for something that's watertight, the kids can't pull off the edges, that's the top there for you. Well, maybe if I'm sorry, we just can't figure out how to,
Y'all are too fancy for us.
yeah. Okay. Does the tech guy, can you see if the tech guy up there maybe? Or do you know how to figure that out?
Let's see, I haven't used this yet.
Okay,
Oop,
what are you
I'm
using?
doing that one, but I'm not sure how to go back.
We can keep going forward, that's fine.
Okay, yeah.
What are you,
I'm pushing that button.
this right
Yeah,
here?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I give up. Okay, now we are just going to run through some renderings. So you can see, if you've got a project going on, call Nicole or call us. It's all free of charge, but what we'll do is get measurements of your space, get an idea of the curriculum that you've got, the parts and pieces that you need to store, and we'll go ahead and we'll put a rendering together for that classroom with furniture that'll work well. We also do a lot of custom. So what you're seeing in these pictures here is a custom island that we put together for a school. So if you're looking through our stuff and you say, I like this product here, but I wish it did X, Y, and Z, it will do X, Y, and Z. Our designers will create it so it fits with your curriculum in your classroom. I wanted you to be able to at least see a diversified product. So the difference really between the two companies is that we do laminate, so you can get all your different color choices, and then diversified works in wood. And then the reason that Clarissa and I pair up together is because we have the same owner for both companies, so we're sister companies. There's your Epic tables there, and that seems to be one of the most popular tables because we can put your butcher block on there, we can put stainless, we can put laminate, we can put phenolic, just depending on what you're doing and what makes more sense in your classroom. But then we've also got the options for those colored frames. And so I'm going to pass one of these out here at the end of this, and if you want one, if you want us to ship one down to the school so you can try it out, absolutely, we'll send it down to you. And the only caveat, if it's a caveat at all, is that we just don't want it back. You get to keep it. So, and here's another example of some art tables, some drafting tables, and then getting into the music. This is the one where I'd really love to send every single one of you a sample of one of our music cabinets. So we kind of just do a, an ours versus theirs breakdown here, but all of our shelves are going to be glue and doweled construction, and we've got competition on the right. You'll probably be able to guess who this is as we're going through it. But we've got matching interior and exterior. So if you don't like the white interior with the colored exterior, we can do matching interior, exterior. Again, we're all glue and doweled construction instead of JC bolts. And then we've got fully finished back panels on our music lockers as well. So, if you did have an area where maybe you're doing back-to-back, or it's got to be freestanding in the center of the room, then you've got that fully finished back panel. Lifetime warranty versus 10 years. And then a music configurator. So if you've got a project, you need some music lockers, just send your music list over to Nicole. And if you need us to do a layout as well, a room rendering, just your room dimensions, and based on that configurator and the room dimensions, we can go ahead and put together something that'll flow really well in your room. And then just a couple pictures of the different kinds of music storage that we've got, and some renderings that we've put together. This is actually an installation that we did for a school up in Wisconsin. And then just examples of renderings of different projects that we've completed here in the area. And then last but not least, again, I'm going to pass this out right here. If you want a sample today, go ahead and fill this out and give it back to Nicole. Otherwise, she can email you this as well. You can click on the sample flyer, see exactly what we've got for samples that we can send down to the school at no charge. And that's it. I hope I got through that as fast as I possibly could, so you could get on with your get on with your meeting. And I've also got a tractor stool over there. It's a sit-to-stand pneumatic. If anybody's interested, just come see me, grab one of these red raffle tickets, and at the end, we'll draw the winner. You just have to have room in your car to take it home.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely take advantage of that sample request if you can, because there's nothing better than seeing it in person, right? Or showing your teachers in person. So fill that out, get it back to me, and we'll get it shipped to probably not your office per se, but a school. But yeah, she's gonna raffle off a stool, and then I have a raffle too. But last time we were at the meeting, Tori and I tried to quiz you guys about school specialty. So the winner is going to get something that we offer for professional development. So my question for this winner is, how many of you guys knew that we did professional development? I think Jason got it. I saw you on the side, Carol, to be fair. So Jason, Tori's going to give you a workshop in a box. So with professional development and COVID times and virtual, all that jazz, this workshop in a box we offer, it's for up to 10 participants, but it's guided so that users can get together and do it as a group. So typically if you have more than 10, you're gonna have to buy a few of them, but they're cost effective, super fun. We actually did one with the Bastrop art teachers this last summer, before Chico retired. Well, moved on, I should say, to Liberty Hill. But yes, so Jason, Tori will get that to you before you leave. Yeah, of course. The other thing I wanted to bring y'all is the new art lesson plans. So I only brought 25, but if you want enough for your teachers, now is the time to email me, because these go fast for like back to school events. So just let me know, and then we will mail them to wherever you want. And the limit is typically 25, but if you email me and say you need 50, I can make it work. But they're beautiful this year. These have a link to our Art Resource Center as well, and it has more guided tutorial videos too for your new teachers. I know there's a lot of new teachers out there that are like 23, 24, and they're excited to teach art, but they just need, some ideas. So yeah, take this and then let me know if you need more. Thank you for having us. I hope I get to go to the next one, which will be in, oh, okay. Okay, yeah, so I'll probably see you guys in September. Enjoy the food for sure, and again, that's locally made down the street by some friends of mine that own the restaurant. So, and then the one thing that you definitely have to try is those cheesecake bites. So I haven't unwrapped them yet. Okay, they're breakfast cheesecake bites. Okay, like Stem and Stone. Yeah, so on your way out, like where Buc-ee's is, if you just go right across the street, it's right there. Yeah, so cheesecake bites, those are a big hit for every back to school event that I bring them to. So thank you again for having us. Yeah.
We could do the raffle now. That way we can wrap it up, and everybody loves a raffle. You have to be on the screen, you have to be over here. Does everybody have a raffle ticket for the tractor seat? Did y'all get them? Okay. Thank you. Kellen does. Kellen wants to draw it. All right. Woohoo! Go, Amy. Yeah, yeah. All right. Very good. That's awesome. Thank you so much. It's nice to have you here, and we appreciate all the treats too. Guys, it's the end of the year, and we're running hot, running ragged, and I know we're living in simultaneous worlds where we see the finish line right ahead of us, but we're also beginning our meticulous planning for next year, and we've been doing that for a while already. We've also been facing a lot of challenges at the state level and local level, and so we've had a lot extra to carry this year. But one of the things I don't want us to lose sight of is the things that have happened this year that we are personally and professionally very proud of, that we feel like was a win, like a check mark in our win column. So I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit different, but I'd like for you to stand up and find someone who's not at your table and share with them something you're really proud about this year, something that you had a hand in or that your district did that makes you feel good and makes you feel like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going to make you do it. All right. I'll give you about 3 minutes, three or 4 minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and have a seat. And we will get going with our updates from our various organizations. I'll give you about 30 seconds. All right, let's go ahead and get Okay, thank you so much. I hope you had an opportunity to share something that you're proud of, and something that you feel like you had a stake in the game on, and got to hear someone else's celebration too. We need to be reminded that the work that we're doing is important and meaningful, and that we're actually quite good at it. And we're probably better than most of the administrators in our district, if I'm being honest. So that's just a little plug for us. Let's go ahead and get started with our organizational updates. Manny wasn't able to be with us today, but do we have a TFAA? Did Manny ask you to present? Okay, come on. Come on up here.
Okay, so we'll just wrap because my name's up there too, so I'll just do all those at the same time. So, hey everybody, and I don't know, where's the camera? Oh, there it is. Hey to my friends who are not able to be here today. Cool. Okay, I got a couple things I just want to get you caught up to date on for TFAA. Number one is that our fiscal year starts on July 1. So that's when we will start. You will have the opportunity to renew your registration on the website. If you're already in the website, all you need to do is go in, say that you want to up your membership for 25-26. That won't be a problem. If you are new and you have not put your information in up to that point, then you will need to it'll be all new information. And if you are a member of TMAC or TFAA already, but you have not been on the website, you'll need the website will just ask you for all new information. It won't, the things from the website a year ago will not have carried over. So you'll still need to go in like as if you're doing it for the first time. And again, July 1 is when you can start doing that. The other thing we're going to open soon after July 1st is registration for the fall conference. You can do all that at the same time. The fees have not changed. So the membership fee is $75, and the registration, the fall conference fee is also $75. You can pay both of those at the same time through PayPal on the website. You can also send me a check. My home address will be there on the website, but if you need it, all you need to do is contact me through either email or text, and I'll give you that information here at the very end, so you won't have to be writing it while I'm trying to talk. But again, that'll be July 1st. I'll send out a reservation block through the hotel. We are in the same hotel. We're in the Austin Bergstrom Hilton, which is the big round building that used to be there, used to be the motor pool. And also, we've got some extra rooms at the Hyatt Place, which is right next door. So, because the hotel can only give us 100 rooms. That's because they have to keep rooms available for the, I'm sorry, it's 100 or 150, but they have to have rooms for the flight attendants and pilots who have to stay overnight. So that's why they can't just give us the whole hotel. We're working on what we're going to do in the fall conference. We don't have the schedule yet. The board is going to be working at our board retreat in June, and we'll come up with a lot of those details, and then we'll pass them out to you as soon as we get all of that taken care of and know what we're going to do. One other thing that we have done is we have launched our Aspiring Administrators Cohort program. That started last week when we sent out we actually put out some feelers through this, but we finally were able to send out the actual invitation for people. And this is going to be a series of 7 to 8 presentations given by experts in certain fields, or the things that you need to know to become a good fine arts administrator, or wish you had known to become a fine arts administrator when you first got going. People like me who were handed the keys of the office and said, we're not really sure what you're going to do. So this is for people who are either maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years in, or have never been an administrator but are thinking about doing it. As I said, it's about a 7 or 8 month presentation that's going to go on over about 7 or 8 months. The first presentations are at the summer conferences TBA, TCDA, TODA. So that's going to be in July. If you want more information about that, you can contact me or Kim Bland, who's our president, and either one of us will be able to help you out answering those questions for you. We've already got about 30 people who have expressed a sincere interest in doing this program, and we're talking about maybe capping it about 25 or 30. So it looks like we're going to have a great first cadre in our group, which is terrific. Speaking of the summer conferences, you will know that we normally have, in the past we've had like a several hours session with speakers, maybe some other presentations. We're not going to do that this year. Instead, what we're only going to do is we're going to do some updates from people who you need to hear updates from. Joe Munoz would be a person for update from TMEA. Joe, it's great to have you here today. Probably have an update also from UIL, and also a very short business meeting, which will consist of mostly an approval of the meeting, the minutes from the last full meeting, and a financial report, which should not take very long, either of those two things. After that, we'll also have plans to have one of our sponsors sponsor a reception for those who are in attendance at the business meeting. We don't have the details worked out. We're working on it, but that's something that we're very hopeful that we can do at the convention. Two other things I want to touch on. Number one, I wanted to let you know that your TFAA board is busy representing you and representing our students at the Texas legislature. Patty was there with me a week ago Thursday. I was there. Manny Gomez was there. Philip Morgan, who's not an officer but is a member of TFAA, was also there, and spent the better part of a day waiting to testify and then testifying in front of the Senate Ed Committee. That has since, the next step in that process for House Bill 2, and I'm going to let Joe take the lead on all this, but we at least were able to get our points across to the committee. I really would like to say that, yeah, we made a great impact with them, but I can't say that because that's not how these things work. But we were able to go, we were able to speak, and I felt really good about at least being able to do that. Last thing I want to talk about is our website. We know that the website still needs to be updated. It hasn't been yet. We're still working on that, and we'll get that probably here within the next several weeks, and we'll get that updated where, number one, all the information is correct with the new officers, the new regional reps, all the information that you will need about the summer conference, about the fall conference, all of that summer conferences and the fall conference, all of that information will be there, and you'll be able to complete your registration at that time. So if you got any other questions, here's my contact information. Please feel free to contact me at any time. My email address is petwar1, Arabic numeral 1, @yahoo.com. First three letters, in case you can't remember, it's the first three letters of my first and last names. And it's also indicative of the fact that when I got that email address years ago, we had 2 dogs. Okay, Pet War, get it? And then my phone number is 512-897-9967. And I'll warn you ahead of time, I do have a thing on there that if my phone doesn't recognize a number, it just goes directly to voicemail, which is a very handy thing, by the way. So if you do call and you just get my voicemail, just leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay? And that's all I got. Oh, yeah.
There's one question online from Shirley Johnson. Question for clarification on the aspiring leaders cohort. The cost to be part of the cohort does not include registration for the conferences of TFAA. Is that correct?
That is correct. Anything else? Anyone thinks? Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay, wonderful. In case you didn't hear that, what Carol said is the registration for the aspiring administrators cohort is linked in your agenda. Any other questions? Okay, very good. Thanks, guys.
Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank Carol for an opportunity to come today and just give you a little bit of a legislative update and a TMEA update. As I'm sure everybody knows, there's only about 2 weeks left in the legislative session. So it'll end on June 2nd, thankfully, or maybe not. I don't know. Some people may enjoy getting to see all the things that happen. But so it just has a few more weeks left. So both houses are very busy passing legislation, arguing about legislation, and still considering some of the things that we're very focused on. So, but I did want to talk about the wonderful day that we had at the Capitol on April 29th. It was the Fine Arts Day, Fine Arts Education Day at the Capitol, and it was a big success. We had over 300 students perform or present artwork on that day. And I want to thank the Thespians, Texas Thespians, for their student ambassadors and student leaders were there and helped. They did some training for people that attended, a great session that they put together on advocacy. But they also visited by themselves 75 legislative offices during that time. We also had approximately 100 fine arts educators, administrators, other association representatives, and parents who attended and visited legislative offices. If you were there, it was great to see, like just in the performances in the rotunda, how the legislators would come out and greet the kids and their directors and spend a little time with them. I encourage you, if you go and look at the Senate, starting in the Senate that day where they did the recognition of the Fine Arts Day, and how many senators talked about how impactful fine arts education is. And now we need to use that and hold them accountable for what they said at that time, and keep pushing it. We have great support in the House. We've had, this year, HB2 has the fine arts funding allotment in it, and that passed last session in the House, and it was included from the very beginning of the education finance bill in the House this year and passed the House. Our issue is in the Senate and getting those senators to be supportive, not only in words, but in actions as well. So just to give you a little bit update on legislation, House Bill 2, which is the public education finance bill, is still in the Senate, and they're still working out details of that. It should be coming up on the floor either probably tomorrow or Friday, we're thinking. It does not contain the fine arts allotment, and I'm sure if you talk to your superintendents, they will let you know that there's not the flexibility in the way that the Senate has structured the funding to really provide the support that the districts need to meet their needs in terms of many school districts have deficit budgets. And we all know that that's related to inflation, which has been talked about since there's been no increase since 2019. But it's also related to, in an effort to keep staff, they continue to give raises to their staff. And so with no increase in allotment, then that makes it very difficult. So if you're not up to date, the Senate plan increases the basic allotment by $55, but has a lot of targeted funding toward teacher pay raises. A large 20% of the teacher pay raise money is dedicated to TIA, teacher incentive allotment. And so many school districts have not even incorporated having a TIA yet. They may be in the process, or they choose not to do that. And even those that do have a TIA, many times fine arts teachers are left out of that because they don't know how to do the show student growth model in terms of assessment. Districts don't feel comfortable with that, or their fine arts teachers don't feel comfortable with that because that kind of assessment is not, as you guys know, it's kind of hard for our teachers to kind of understand that and grasp that. So, but I would encourage you, I'm sure you are all talking in your districts about TIA, and I know TFAA has been incredibly supportive of having models to to introduce that into your school districts that include fine arts as part of that. So I encourage you to continue to use that resource because that will be a big deal in terms of how to get more money for teachers going forward. But we're still working to have the fine arts allotment included in that legislation, and or at least to have an interim study on the fine arts and how it impacts academics and the funding that's needed and those kinds of things. So we can at least be captured in some way to have set the table for what could come in the future. So those actions are happening. Another bill that we're keeping our eyes on is Senate Bill 25. There was also a House Bill 25. It's a nutrition bill. It has a lot to do with limiting dyes in foods for school students, labeling for nutrition products. But in that bill, they also included two things. One was a high school requirement for a nutrition course, which was eliminated. So now they're going to create the course, but it's not going to be a requirement. So we'll still monitor that because we know if the course gets in there at some point, they may want to try to continue to flip it to a requirement. But right now, it is not a requirement. But probably the most impactful part of it is it requires 6 semesters of middle school PE. And so some school districts already do 6 because there is a TEA rule that has that, but there is an exception to that in terms of physical activity and being able to meet that outside of taking the PE class. So this bill would restrict that flexibility that's currently in the code. And so we're working to keep that flexibility in the bill or to simply have it remain at 4. And so we're still working through that process. That bill just got voted out of committee from the floor. They had a meeting at a table and it voted out of committee because there's some issues with it. Part of the issue was they didn't have education listed in the title of the bill, in the explanation of the bill, and it does have education-related stuff in it. And so there's still some things that we're looking at possibly working with our lobbyists to try to get some action to try to take that part of the bill out or at least limit its impact as we go forward. Another one would be HB4. That's the bill that has to do with accountability, and that's the House bill that they voted to eliminate the STAR test, which I'm sure there would be great excitement all around the state of that, except for the Senate is not in line with that. And so we'll be interested to see if that gets a hearing in the Senate and if it moves forward. But that one would be a substantial change, and then they would have to rebuild basically the accountability system after they did away with the STAR test. If you're not familiar with that bill, it does 2 norm reference tests during the year, a beginning of the year test, a mid-year test, and then the final test is not a norm reference test, but that's their end of course test. And then the process it's supposed to be more educationally sound. The teachers get the feedback a lot quicker. They're able to make the adjustments for the students and all of those things. So just those are the bills that we're watching. Do be on the lookout. There's many bills going through the session related to DEI that could have impacts on education through K through 12. So we're still monitoring those. Those haven't hit a calendar yet, so we're excited about that. And many of those haven't been voted out of committees yet, which if they have not been voted out of a committee, then they won't be heard at this point. So just FYI on that. Some things that we're really excited I got to share, and Carol, thank you for doing that activity. We're really excited at the Texas Arts Education Campaign in the addition that we made this year of advisory committee that includes a lot of fine arts directors that represent each of the 4 fine arts strands. So we have music, theater, dance, and music represented. And of course, we have members of the TF. Well, I think every member is a member of TFAA. So we're excited about that collaboration that's happened and the great work that they did to help us prepare for the Fine Arts Day at the Capitol, but also in terms of how we're going to move forward with TAC to keep all of our associations more unified as we present the message. Because when we go to Austin and at the Capitol, we can only talk about fine arts because that's what's in law and that's what's in code, rule. So, but we're really excited about that and seeing how that moves forward. Just a few TME updates for you. You should have gotten an email on Monday if you're a TMEA member, and you may have heard about it if you're not. TMEA has entered with a pilot partnership with Ensemble Block to provide all state. Every year we've provided videos for the band, etudes, on our website. So we've gone into a partner with Ensemble Block, and we're going to have those videos be housed on Ensemble Block for band, for the orchestra etudes. If you're not familiar, the orchestra they have etudes that they play, but they also have selections from the music that they do. We're only doing the etudes for jazz band and for mariachi etudes. So that's something that hasn't been done. Again, the only ones that were previously done were just videos, and they were for the band division, the band specific audition materials. So we're expanding it to those areas. And it's also going to be support in terms of there'll be annotated music with the recording, and students will be able to use that as a resource to slow the music down or to speed it up, and they can loop certain sections of the music so that it'll help them in a preparation tool. And really appreciate our executive board's hard work to provide more resources to all of the students across our state, and that'll be provided free. So they will have to go through and sign up, but TMEA is covering that cost. And so we'll have more discussion about that as we go forward. But I wanted to make everyone aware of that and let you share that with your directors. And again, that's for all band auditions and all orchestra auditions. So that would be jazz band and mariachi included in that for those etudes. Just as a reminder, we do have a professional development resource online. We have an online learning platform on our website, and new content has rolled out on that. And then we are also launching our online learning submission portal in July so that educators can submit proposals like they do to our clinic. For your information, we have about 1,300 or 1,400 clinic submissions for our convention, and we can't take all of those. And so there are a lot that get left on the cutting board that are great clinics, and this will be another avenue that people can submit so that they can, present the material that can be a resource to our educators around the state. And so that's all I have for you this morning. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Yeah.
The TFAA have it in
And general membership and college. Yeah. So there's right now there's sessions mainly for college students. It's done by TFAA members in terms of how to interview, great interview strategies. There are 2 45-minute sessions that are great for that. But yeah, it's band, choir, orchestra, elementary, college, and general membership. So yeah, it's like any other professional development. Once they complete a course, and we've, because I came from the administrative world, they have to view 95% of the content to get credit of that. So, but yeah, they receive once they complete the course, it rolls into our CP credit system so they can print a certificate and they have that documentation. Yeah. Great. As always, if there's anything that we can do at TMEA, don't hesitate to reach out. Happy to support any way that we can. So I want to thank you for all your leadership and all your work, Carol, for all your work in organizing this. But you all know, thank goodness the teachers don't get to see all the terrible things that you have to deal with that they don't even know about and that we don't ever want them to know about. Some of that is this legislative stuff too. But I would encourage you to encourage your teachers to get liability insurance. We're going through a tenuous time right now, and some things that are happening. They want to make sure that they do an investment to protect themselves, and we have avenues through that. We don't make any money off of that at TMEA, but it does provide a layer of protection for them and a resource for them if they have a situation that you need it. I can't tell you how many phone calls I get where we have members that reach out for support, and they're like, well, I didn't do that. And so at that point, the financial burden goes strictly onto them, and they're probably not going to be able to do that. So again, I would just encourage your teachers to have some form of liability insurance as we move forward, which we've always said that, but maybe a little bit more important as we're going through the next few years. So, all right, appreciate everything you do.
Hi. Good morning. Can people see me out in TV land? Tim, if I say something wrong, just pull the fire alarm or something, and we'll figure it out later. Okay. Hi, everybody. Our conference is coming up this November 20th through 22nd at Kalahari in Round Rock. Hotel blocks are open on the website, but filling up fast. I believe Saturday night is already filled. So if you are, I know a lot of people are waiting for next year's budget to roll around to get those things reserved. There are also alternate hotels listed on the TFAA website for you to look into if you can't stay at Kalahari. If you are interested, or if you have teachers that are interested, and you don't mind spreading the word, workshop or presentation proposals are due July 15th. We always have a ton of new and exciting ideas put in, but there is a deadline on that. So if you can spread the word to your people, I know once the last day of school hits and they close their computers, a lot of them leave them on the shelf until August, which is earned. However, we need some stuff turned in this summer, so if you can pass that word on to your visual arts teachers, that would be much appreciated. There will be some information sent out from me this summer. I wanted to wait until teachers were kind of done with this year, but there will be opportunities for your visual arts teams to assist or help or provide some of the things we're going to be using to decorate the space, and some cool ideas that we're going to be putting into place this year. So stay tuned for that, and an opportunity for your kids to be involved in the conference. On another note, District of Distinction folder requests are past due. They were due by May 13th, so if you have not requested a folder, I would send an email to check on that, but on the website, the deadline is May 13th. The folders themselves are due on June 13th. Is everyone here doing the District of Distinction program for their district? Is anyone not doing it? Or does anyone say, what's that? Perfect, okay. Anyone out there in TV land? And Tim would like to speak as well. I'll promise I'll let you talk when I'm done. June 13th, everything goes in that folder and they shut it down. At this point, everything that you need should have already been accomplished. And one of the things that they've done this year that's really helpful is if you go into the members only side of the TFAA website, you can click on what is called the DoD report, and it has one page of all those things you kind of have to frantically search for when you're putting the folder together. But it's one page, it has all the links right there. You just click, it shows your receipts for all the contests, your membership, rosters, all of your Big Art Day events. It's housed in one spot, so you can go and print everything off and drop them into the folders as needed. Tim, I would love for you to speak, but I don't know how that happens.
I guess
you.
you can transfer this information.
We can hear you.
So
You're good.
Okay, so the deck that I put in the chat, Carol also has the deck there. In addition to what Kellen has highlighted, there are a couple of things that I wanted to highlight and share. First of all, many of you know that Sarah Chapman, our longtime executive director, passed several weeks ago, and there have been questions about what is happening about that. Her family has decided to have a private ceremony, and so we will be honoring her as the organization during the course of conference at Kalahari in November. There will be a segment during one of our general sessions specifically in regards to Sarah and her long-term work since the 1960s in Texas Art Education Association and the National Art Education Association. So there will be more to come on that. If you knew Sarah and have photos or memories that you want to share, there is a specific email address that I've posted in the slide that you can share those things with as we build a response for her work. Conference, just a couple of other things. We do have a conference site up that is specific for volunteering. We're going to begin sending out notices to Region 12, Region 13, et cetera, all of the people that would be basically home that hopefully can help, because if you've ever been to one of our conferences, you know that our conference functions because of our volunteers. And so there's a lot of opportunities for that. So you'll be hearing more about that. I also wanted to highlight for the administrative group that the administrators conference will be Thursday, November the 20th. Typically it's 4 to 6. That's not completely firm, but it's probably a safe bet if you want to go ahead and block it on your calendar. And remember that your district of distinction goes with that. In addition to what Kellen said about district of distinction, just a couple of things that I wanted to highlight to y'all. As he said, district this year, your applications are due June the 16th at midnight. So you need to be gathering your material together and getting that organized if you're going to submit for this year. And it's not too early to begin working on materials for next year. Primarily, this is a good before you leave moment, trying to collect some work for TASB. So remember that that is an electronic that I've moved to the last 2 years, just as an idea. I have every one of my teachers keeps a portfolio, and I have them put one piece, what they are most proud of a piece of student work with the permission slip in their folder before they leave at the end of the year. So I have a ready pile of work that I print for summer exhibitions in our gallery spaces. And then I also use that for TASB, so I don't have to come back and panic because I have to have 8 pieces for TASB. I already have them done. The last thing that I wanted to kind of highlight as an idea is I know many of you are probably living in the same land that I'm living, which is we no longer can be qualitative about our programs. We have to be quantitative. We have to boil everything down to a spreadsheet or numbers. I don't know if Carol or whoever is running the deck, I can see it up on the screen behind Kellen, but if you can click that Round Rock ISD base dashboard, what that gives you is I have spent this year collecting my base data. You can get this from a spreadsheet off of the district profile that you have as an administrator. And I have compared and tallied all of these pieces of the puzzle for VASE and compared them to our region. You'll also see that there's a state tab, a junior VASE tab, which is still incomplete because I'm still working on it, and a team tab because we've gone very deep into to my faculty that our goal is 100% of faculty. We're at like 96% this year, and we're going to make 100% next year of everybody being in it. This has made a huge impact on the people that are making financial decisions in our district because I can
Are you still talking, Tim?
minds around. Yeah, did I lose you?
You're fine. We got you back.
This is a student achievement metric that you piece of your student work. But highlight that to show you as a possible growth measure for your 25-26 if you need some by your program.
Hey,
So
Tim,
that's what I got.
Hey, Tim. Your slide deck shows June 16th as the due date. The website says June 13th. Can we clarify that?
What Neely sent.
Yeah, it says the 13th on the website. So we'll just need to look into that and see why there's a
Well,
discrepancy.
then I would go with the 13th to be safe.
That's what I'm going with too. But we'll check on that. Anything else, Tim? I'm gonna go sit down if you're done. Knock twice if you're finished. I think you're finished. Okay, now I gotta find where everyone is. Oh, someone else is controlling it. There we go. There we go. All right.
All right, thank you, Kellen, and thank you, Tim. I'm gonna pull this. this back up here so we can see that. We will revisit TDEA, TXETA, and thespians in the June meeting. I will tell you that Carla Schumann, she sent her regrets today. She couldn't be here, but she did send some information for me to share with you. It's slides. And what I did is I put those into the new Centex drive. So let me talk about that for just a moment. The Centex drive was created by the TFAA board as an independent mechanism for being able to communicate and store information. Many of you probably remember when we used to have a Google Drive, but it was owner dependent. And so when that person would leave a school district, it had to be created under someone else's name. And eventually the Central Texas Drive just kind of evaporated. And so thanks to the work of our TFAA board, they have created for each of the 5 areas their own drive. And I have an email address, which is centexrep@tfaa.org. So you'll be getting things from me at that email address. You'll also be getting things from me at my Georgetown address. In the process of adding people to the new Centex Google Drive, I did run into a couple of complications with some school districts. And so if you don't have access to the drive, please let me know. Most of you should. I just went down the member directory that I passed around this morning, and I entered information based off of that. I'm sure I did not get everybody because we've had some movement, lately in districts. So I'm going to work real hard over the summer to make sure that everybody's contact information is accurate and that everyone has appropriate access to the Centex Drive. In the Centex Drive, you will see a variety of folders that I have already populated. They're just generic topics. They'll change. I've given everyone that's been added to the drive, which is the majority of people, contributor access. So you can put documents into the folders, and hopefully, that won't be too much of a challenge. And again, we're still troubleshooting a lot of things. So if something's not working quite right, please just, give me a holler, and I'll do what I can to address it. In one of the folders is called organizational updates. And so as I receive those, in that folder, I've got all of the different organizations. And so if you want to see the slides that Carla Schumann from Thespians shared with me, it's in their folder. And so you can take a look at that at your leisure. And that will be there going forward. So any questions about that? Like, for example, I could not add Patty, like Hayes, so like I need to add you. I couldn't add Lockhart, and there were a couple of others. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. About 5 or 6 folks that were on our member directory that I just couldn't add because of configurations within that particular district's technology. And so we have some workarounds. So, just let me know. If you don't see that Centex drive as having been shared with you, just either shoot me an email or text me or something, and I'll work on that between now and the June meeting. Speaking of the June meeting, we're still scheduled to have that. Well, you'll get more information about it. We're still working on a host location for that as well, but we will be meeting in June. I don't have the date on the agenda, but it's the 3rd Wednesday of the month, so that would be the day. And again, you'll get more information about that. But I'm looking ahead to the 25-26 school year, and so you'll see in the agenda there is a link to the survey that I'm asking you to complete. I'm just looking for those of you who might be interested in being host sites. I'm looking for things that you might be interested in learning more about, participating in, engaging in, that kind of thing. One of the things, and this kind of leads a little bit into the next bullet, but just kind of briefly looking at the dates for next year. I've got some little comments there out to the side of some of them. I'm looking for some feedback as well, like a beginning of the year retreat. What might that look like? That could be kind of cool. Maybe in January, leading up to TMEA, you know, you bring a fine arts teacher leader from your district to our meeting to give them a, you know, kind of hand in hand with the whole idea of, you know, aspiring leaders. Of course, February is our TMEA roundtable. I owe a big apology to Philip Taylor. He had originally agreed to host the May meeting, but in the transition, I just got dates mixed up. I did not realize that we were going to have problems with One Act Play and that he was thinking it was going to be earlier in May. So again, double thanks to Mark for stepping up and saving the day by hosting today. We may want to consider revising the third Wednesday of the month in May for 2026 so that we don't have this kind of conflict again. I think we'll have better attendance if we do it early. So TBD on that. Any questions about any of that so far? Awesome. So one of the tasks that I've kind of undertaken started when I met for the first time with the TFAA board at TMEA. And my first question upon accepting this role was, who all is a part of the Central Texas TFAA? Like, what districts, what counties, who, you know, like, I know all of these familiar faces in here, right? But I know that there are people out there that, you know, it's a big geographical location, it's a big area. And I know that there are people that maybe, you know, aren't willing to, you know, maybe they might want to go to another area, but, or maybe they feel like they're a little bit on the boundary between, you know, Central Texas and another area. And so I was just trying to figure out who is in our area. So let me see if I can use this exciting mouse. It's very different. Oh, it's not going to let me do that. You can click on it. I just, you know, I don't know how you feel about AI or ChatGPT, but I like to think of it as a tool. And what I wanted to do was to determine, if I were to look at a map of Texas counties, kind of what I would consider to be Central Texas, you know, from Waco to San Antonio, you know, Bryan College Station to Fredericksburg, Bandera. I was like, that is a broad Central Texas location. I looked at all the counties, and I just simply started feeding prompts into ChatGPT, like, in all of these counties, what are the school districts? And so it gave me that list. And I said, and of those school districts, which of them have fine arts departments, fine arts coordinators, or fine arts directors? It refined the list further. And then you can click on something called deep research, and then you can have it do really neat things like create a spreadsheet for you, and then tell it what, you know, tell it what you want. And so that spreadsheet that you see right there is the product of AI. Now, because it's only a tool, it does require human eyes to look at it and verify, and I suspect that we will improve or refine some of the information that's presented in there. But it also left some unanswered questions for me, and that is, there are school districts in the Central Texas area who don't have fine arts administrators of any kind. How do we reach out to them? So I'm fielding two kinds of questions right now, and I don't really have an ask in this for you at the moment, other than if you see something that is incorrect, that you let me know and we fix it. But my two areas that I'm very interested in right now is really refining and completing our list, making it most comprehensive of all of the school districts in this Central Texas area who have some kind of fine arts representation. And then secondarily, finding school districts who don't have fine arts representation, because everybody's teaching courses in fine arts, and so who's advocating for them, right? And I'm a big believer in the rising tide lifts all boats, and so, for example, I collaborate with Jarrell ISD, because they don't have fine arts representative, and it's so easy for me to offer our summer professional development to their art teachers, for example. And it doesn't really cost me anything, and they appreciate it because it's targeted and focused professional development for them. So that kind of work, I think, is really important. Everybody may not feel exactly the same way as I do, and that's fine, but I'm kind of speaking from the heart. That's where a little bit of my passion lies, is making sure we have a comprehensive list of representation, and then also maybe working a little bit in sort of a subcommittee format to reach out and see what we can do to lend some support to the districts that don't have representation. So I leave that link there for you to kind of review and let me know what you think. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns? Do you know if we have any feedback from the group? Okay, I can fix that. I love it when I do that, by the way. It's my favorite. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was funny, the first round or two of the ChatGPT work, it wasn't finding me either. And I was like, wait a minute. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's a tool. I'll make sure you guys have access to the survey, and I apologize for that. I do want you to, and I'll do that right here in just a moment before we kind of head out. Make sure everybody has access in the survey. Were there any comments or questions? It's just for you, Peter. I just want your feedback. That's all I want. That's all I want. Well, so next week, the TFAA board will be meeting, and so I would like to have this information to share with them. It's literally a week from today. And, just to give feedback as to what we like, what we want to keep doing with the fall conference, what we'd like to see elsewhere, or otherwise, I mean. So I'll make sure everybody has access. Is anybody else experiencing that they don't have access? Is that pretty much everybody? Okay, all right. Then that's a me problem. The next part of it is the roundtable discussion. We've kind of already touched on. Shirley, I'll make sure to update all of the survey access. I apologize. We've already discussed the TFAA's new and aspiring fine arts administrator cohort, and that's linked there. I really encourage you to either participate or share with people who might be aspiring leaders. We have a question from Colleen, ISD. What systems do you have in place for fine arts handbooks? How do you disseminate the information effectively? So, does anybody want to speak up to the group, or would you like to have table conversation? What works best for you? Okay. Hey, Kellen, will you speak up here? Because the people online can't hear.
So yeah, I called together basically all the directors that had handbooks that were going out to teachers, because my teachers sometimes overlap with their teachers, and we're getting two different types of information. And we kind of just had like a table read where we walked through and said like, hey, what happens if your teacher needs to borrow a district vehicle? Is everything that we have aligned? And it's kind of turned into now like a student activities extracurricular district-wide handbook, which I get to be in charge of, which is really exciting because I raised my hand and said things were wrong. But I feel like things are now concise and they all say the same thing, but it required kind of getting everyone to the same table because they had stuff going on that I didn't know that I loved that I wanted to steal. And so wait, that's a way better system than what we have, and vice versa. And the hub thing I would say is really one of the smartest things I've done in the past couple of years because it has cut my email down by about half of just teachers saying, hey, how do we do, or where was that? It's all on the hub. And so if you haven't checked the hub, please don't email me. I love you, but please don't email me until you've checked the hub because it's all there. And then I don't have to say, everyone delete that form that you had that we sent you last month. Here's a new form. Please don't save anything on your computer. Just go to the hub and use it from there. And that way, everything I can control from one central location. I shared the final handbooks and documents that we've put together with kind of our bosses, the chief level, that need to kind of see and make sure, if they read it, I don't know. But they've been shared for kind of their final approval, but those are all kind of coming down the pike right now. But I found that I was doing all this work in one direction and athletics was doing all this work in another direction, and we were telling teachers and families mixed information. So now I feel like we're giving one message, and there's been a lot of systems that have been streamlined. So
You go over that with your fine arts teachers at the
yes.
You go over it like page by page, or do you say you have to read this and kind of see as if you read it, or how do you do that?
I try not to put stuff in there that's not needed. And so we kind of go over it, the high points of the whole thing at Back to School PD. My brand new people that have not been in the department before, I have kind of a breakout session with them where we really dig into page by page. I let them ask their questions because if I tell you to sign something, they're going to go to the end, sign it, turn the thing in. And so this way, I give them a space to ask questions or get the, learning how to drive things out of the way because that saves me a lot of time. My people that have been with me for 5 years don't necessarily need that. Anything that's new or updated, I do kind of here's what's new this year, please understand. I drive them through the hub so they can see if there's anything that I've updated on my end. But I kind of save that in-depth dive for people that either want to come get a refresher or my first or second year teachers that really need to have me kind of hold their hand through each step. And that's been helpful. Last year, we combined with athletics to do a UIL section because I find that is a lot of the questions. And then that spurred me doing like a campus road show where I was training every campus admin team and teaching team. And the response to that was so amazing to see teachers feel like they were included in that conversation because for so long they felt like it's us against them. We just want them to pass all the kids so they can play. And that's not the case. It's just that there were certain teachers not following the rules of like asking people questions. And so nobody had the same understanding. But once we've gone district-wide and campus to campus, myself and the athletic director, I think it put everybody on the same page. And a lot of administrators were like, oh, I had no idea that's how eligibility even worked. And so it's been really helpful for kind of consistency across the district. And I can share that training I have with y'all in the drive too, because it's straight from the side-by-side and I update it every year.
One of the nice things
Yeah.
that's 3 years ago. I mean, I've got a copy of it. All tell them the same. That's something that we get. The thing I don't like about it is somebody breaks the rules. Right. But this one way, for a student as a cheerleader, same thing, their punishment is different. This is an effort to try to make sure that all students are. We still have our separate. I would encourage you.
As far as the way we do handbooks in Georgetown, the programs come together and have shared, it's like middle school choir, band, that kind of thing. So the handbooks that are created by the programs, and I evaluate them annually, and also expect that if they're making any changes to notify me for approval. Additionally, I had to really kind of step into it a little bit a couple of years ago because I found that some of our handbooks, especially our high school performing arts handbooks, were actually running in a contradictory fashion to our code of conduct. And so we had to stop, realign, and make sure that everybody was in alignment and not, overstepping the code of conduct, because it just doesn't, it's an unwinnable fight. So as far as so you're a member of the Fine Arts Department kind of handbook. Traditionally, in the past, I've had one that's paper version or, PDF, and basically all of the kind of program management aspects that were part of this is how you do fine arts in Georgetown ISD. If you want to buy something, if you want to schedule student travel, if you want to hire contracted services, whatever it is, this is what you do. I have found that it's just not enough anymore to have something like that. And so I, last year, created a Google site with a hub as part of it where all of our documents live. Additionally, last year, I initiated a required professional development training during the summer. And so if you had so many years or less in the district, you are required to come to an in-person program management orientation where we talked specifically about each of the different aspects: how we hire contracted staff, how we organize student travel, how we buy things, how to read your account reports, how to know the difference between 199s and 865s, and what the account codes mean. I really started throwing a lot of that, because what I was seeing is we've got these wonderful educators, fantastic educators, but nobody or very few people are getting a real sense of the program management or any kind of budget training in school, right? And that's just not fair. So I really wanted to help build that knowledge base in that. This year, I've made it only mandatory as a summer PD for people in the district 3 years or less, because we all need to hear something more than once. And in this module that I've created for summer professional development, I basically took the handbook and made modules on the Google site with checks for understanding along the way so that I could document that they've completed it. And works fairly well. It's a work in progress, but it's just another way of handling it. Everybody hears this every year, and they're probably sick of it. It's your year should not be a surprise to you. You know when you're doing marching band, you know when you have contests, you know when your concerts are going to be. We start planning in April for the following year. There should never be a surprise. We've told you we need things a month in advance if you expect to have a purchase, and we also have given you deadlines for when you can spend your money. If you have a handle on your program management, you get to focus on the relationships that you're building with kids and the educational, instructional part of what you do. And so I think we are all constantly trying to find a way to help scaffold that area of knowledge for our teachers, that learning. And so, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, whether it's a hub, a Google site, required summer training, check-ins at PLCs, whatever works for you. But I think handbooks as a document are kind of useless. So by putting them into this module format, I think people access it more easily. And I have documentation whether or not they've looked at it. But then I also tell them, I'm going to also know if you really took this training to heart, depending on how you do this year. And I'll be honest, I've got some folks that are going to need to take that training again this summer. So, but that's okay. It's all right. If you do something only once or twice a year, doesn't it take you a while to peel back the layers to remember? So I feel like that's important. Yes? So some of it, I will be the first to say that the first iteration was a lot of reading, and I'm improving that for this summer. But we did include some videos, like this is how you access your report, you know, click on this, look at this, tells you how much you have, this is what's encumbered, you know, all that kind of stuff. So we'll have some videos, and some of the tasks are not quizzes, you know, like the artifacts are not so much quizzes for every module. Sometimes they're tasks, you know, that they need to complete something before they move on to the next module. Yeah. Any other comments about handbooks or anything for the good of the group? Okay. Representation for smaller districts without fine arts administrators, I've already addressed that. If that's something that's interesting to you, kind of sparks interest in you, and it's something you'd like to work with me on, reach out. I would love to do that. And then, are there any other questions for the group, from the group? Yes, ma'am. I set all of the professional development for fine arts in the district. And of course, you know, Georgetown is, you know, 15,000 students, right? So we're not huge. So it's pretty easy for me to manage the various types of PD. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all summertime stuff, and it's all summer PD. That's a good clarification. It's all summer PD that I make. During the year, no, but during the summer, you know, if we're doing like a particular technique training, like we did white line printmaking, for example, or something like that, I invite them to come. You know, they don't have resources like Art of Ed, and they just don't have a lot of that type of stuff. So I always welcome them to join. Yes. The way our PD works in Georgetown is during the summer, all teachers are required to complete 24 hours of professional development in order to get their 4 comp days during the year. So 6 of that is our compliance training, the online, you know, child abuse and substance abuse and harassment type stuff. And then the other 18, they get to pick and choose. We have something called GISDU University, where they can earn badges and, you know, credentialing and stuff like that with their PD. It's kind of a college course guide format, the way I'm thinking about it. So I just reach out to the elementary coordinator that's been tasked with talking to the art teachers in Gerald and just tell them to come, you know, and then I just email back. But Patty, I meant to mention that. But yeah, so that's the way we run it. If I have a teacher that's leading professional development, they get credit as well. So it helps them earn their hours. Anything else for the forum Q&A? Yes, ma'am. Oh. So Patty's asking how everybody's doing with TIA. Anybody want to start off? I've got some comments, but if anybody else wants to go. Okay, I'll start off. We started doing TIA with our math and reading teachers only officially this school year. And I went up to our assessment person and said, you know, what's stopping us from doing any other areas outside of math and reading? Is it just, you know, that we don't have the reliable assessments, you know, that are going to be accepted by TIA? And he was like, yeah. I said, well, I think I might have a solution. I know that I don't have the, you know, I've been watching Lubbock ISD for a long time. I'm sure we all have, right? And regardless of how you feel about TIA, it's really hard to leave extra funding on the floor for teachers that are doing a great job anyway. So I've been speaking with Keith Dye with Music First. This is not an endorsement. I'm not being paid or anything like that. This is just my own experience. And so we're going to run a pilot in the 25-26 school year with those knowledge-based assessments, because Music First has them for all areas, not just music. And so that's what we're going to do. And if we get good results and everything passes muster with our assessment people, then we'll get to add fine arts to the application to start in the 26-27 school year. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm especially excited about it for our elementary teachers. Yes. Do you want to come up here and talk?
We started asking last year about the same thing, about why a lot of our core areas were in TIA, and started talking with our assessment folks in the district. And we have a coordinator for TIA through the HR department, and we started meeting with her. And then, yes, we met with Keith Dye, and he presented to our teachers about 6 weeks ago at a PD, and showed the platform and showed sample assessments. You know, the initial question we got from it, it's called Music First, and all of a sudden the art and theater teachers, you know, why is it called Music First? You know, and it kind of, we had some pushback initially, but he really helped explain through that and showed what some different sample assessments look like. So we're also going to pilot next year in several areas. One of the things we're trying to tackle right now in our district is the technology part of it. We're supposed to be a one-to-one district, but it doesn't necessarily always work out that way, where every fine arts class has access to devices. The platform works great, where it'll pretty much work on any type of device. I mean, it would even work on a phone, but we're trying to figure out the student access to that right now in our particular district. But we're excited about it. We have a lot of teachers. It's, I guess, maybe 3 or 4 years now it's been going on. We're starting to see a decent number of core academic teachers are starting to get some big money. And so the fine arts teachers are really starting to ask about it. And so we're going all in next year with the pilot, and then hopefully that goes well. And then the next year we'll be officially in TIA. Yeah, it's a per student licensing. I will say to me, it's fairly reasonable. And they have different ways you can get just the assessment piece of it, which, again, I'm not speaking for them, but it's cheaper. If in our district, we found we were already investing in a competing product for in a lot of our schools. In Music First, you can, if you buy their typical product, the assessment part of it is already included in that. So that was something we're doing. We were able to get it for next year for the pilot as part of our instructional materials allotment through the district. And so just this past week, the board approved that. And so out of our fine arts budget, we're not having to pay for any of that. So that's all being funded through our curriculum department.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other, oh, we did have a question from online about the Centex College Day plans. If you'll remember, Mike Howard presented on that back in November. I reached out to him to see if he had any updates, and I don't think he does at this time, but I definitely think we've got to revisit that. I thought it was a great presentation and a wonderful idea. So maybe Mike can talk to us in June about it. Yeah. Anything else?
Jacob Justice mentioned that they're finishing their first year Music First.
So Jacob is saying if anyone has questions, to reach out to him there in Bryan ISD. Yeah, they can contact him for sure. All right. Any other topics of discussion or questions for the good of the group? Yes, ma'am. So for those of you online, Patty's saying if you are wanting to create some kind of a survey or document that's going to be shared with the Centex TFAA group, to create it in that drive rather than in your own or in your own Google Drive or elsewhere. And that makes good sense. We're all trying to navigate, you know, this kind of shared proprietary material with one another, and we have documents that we generate in our Google worlds in our school districts, and so sharing does become an issue sometimes. So, but I think that's a great suggestion, Patty, and so that's something to keep in mind. I really hope that over the next few months, we really populate those folders with resources for one another, because we had a pretty robust resource there for a long time, and you know, over time they do kind of get cluttered and harder to sift through, but I think this is a wonderful fresh start. So I'm very appreciative to the TFAA board for making this happen. All right. Anything else for the good of the group? Guys, we're doing great. We're going to end early today, which is nice. Have a little bit of time for lunch, perhaps. We have a bunch of stuff that needs a home, so if you want to take some things with you, please do that. And in closing, just know how much I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to seeing you in June. TBD, more information coming. Everybody online, thank you. Bye.